How's it going, everyone? My name's Brady, and I've posted a few videos just about my pedal board and how I use it. But today I kind of want to cover just how I use the Mastermind PBC10 and how I have it set up, and maybe give you some shortcuts and some tips on how to set this up if you first get it. And so, um, if you buy the PBC and you have the correct USB to PC cable, then when you pull up the editing software, you'll see something like this to start out with. And always make sure that you are connected to start out with. And so right here it says connected. If it doesn't say that, then what you'll want to do is go to transfer up here, which you probably can't see, but it's at the top of the tab where you would have, like, for instance, I use a Mac, so it would have the little Apple symbol, and then it would have the Mastermind editor, file, edit, view, and then it'll say transfer. And at the top you'll see where it says connect to device. You'll hit that, and then it should pop up. Or when you go to global, you should be able to choose which device you have. So they only give you a certain amount of options, but I have the PBC10. It's already on there. So anyways, going from there, if you have any, generally speaking, and I'm speaking on the terms that I use them. For instance, so I play at church, and I would fall under the realm of a worship guitarist, and essentially the best way that I've seen as far as that category goes to set this thing up is to make presets, and then to make songs, and then to make set lists. And so and I'll talk through that, but I'll just kind of show you the different ways you can use this and how it can be effective for you. And this video is going to be long, I can already tell, but it's okay. We're going to work through this, and hopefully it'll help somebody, or you, or whatever. But anyways, so the first thing you want to check in going through this is that it is set up on the correct model. And then from there, go to your devices page. And so if you're a worship guitarist specifically, you'll see a lot of the Strifecta or the Strymon pedals, such as the Big Sky, the Timeline, the Mobius, and they do have MIDI functionality. So you'll kind of want to set them up. I just kind of set them up in the order of where I have them in the signal chain. So, like, obviously I would have my Timeline, and then I have the Big Sky, and then I have the HX Stomp after them, running amps and modulation. So we'll just go back here to the Timeline. So when it pops up, your original editing software will have this RJM mini effects gizmo, but you'll just click. They already have a ton of this stuff presetted, which is great. They have anything from Walrus to Strymon to Mesa, and even some of the Eventide things. But you're going to want to click on Strymon, and then you literally just go over here and click what you have. So it could be the Mobius, which might be your first thing, or it could be the Timeline. In my case, it's the Timeline, so I click that. I'll name it Timeline, and then you'll just want to give it a MIDI channel. So if you go to the global settings in the Strymons, you'll see where it says MIDI channel, and then you'll be able to select a number. I selected 1 for the Timeline, 2 for the Big Sky, 3 for the Stomp. And so that's how I have those set up, and that's all you need to do. This is will allow you to be able to send information, and for the PBC to be able to recognize where it's sending to. So after that, you'll go to this, which is your buttons page. And this is kind of how you'll be looking at the PBC as a whole, and just to kind of show you what I've done. So this is how I use it, and it may not work for you, but I will try to explain multiple ways that it can work. So as far as this button page, this is kind of your page one is what you'll be generally looking at as far as presets go. Page two shows your loops button. So if I were to click, just hit this button one time, the loops button, it will pop up to this page. And this is where you can access all these other buttons within presets and your pedals. This is essentially what I call the traditional pedal board style layout. So when you hit the loops button, it literally shows in order of 1 to 10 what you have in each loop. And it'll say loop 1, loop 2, loop 3 to start out with. But what you can do is go in here and right click on the button. Or actually, what you'll want to do is double click it, sorry. And then it'll pop up to this button setting. And then you'll want it to say, you don't want a hold function necessarily for just being able to turn stuff on and off. The IA is instant access, so essentially you'll be able to click something and it will turn on and off for you. And then say you have your compressor first, you just name it, select the color you want. For me, I did the color that matches the color of my compressor. So say you have like I have a Behringer one right now, but say you have like a Walrus Deep 6, it's kind of got that teal aqua color. So you can change it to aqua, and then the off color is just black, so it just is off, there's no light to it, and then you just hit done. And there you go, it says comp on it. Or say I have a POG 2, it's their Morning Glory kilt. I actually have these two slots open right now, but I had a trim and a chorus there. Then I just have the timeline and the big sky. And so you'll just go in there, double click it, and name it whatever you want to, and you're done. And so that'll give you access. So when you hit the loops button, it'll go to this page and bring this up, and you'll be able to see if you have them labeled on your actual device. As far as like I have a picture of my compressor, a picture of the POG 2, of the Morning Glory, the timeline, the big sky, kilt. And so what you can do is like that can be a visual thing, or if you just put like labels on there of the name of the pedal, then that works great too. And so when you click that, the lights will pop up to show you what's on. So like if I have a compression on and then my first stage drive and then both my timeline and my big sky, the buttons will pop up showing that I have those pedals on. And so that's really cool, and it's helpful to kind of say like if something just sounds funky and it doesn't sound right, you can click that real quick and say, hey, what do I have on? And then if I just like sometimes when we play ambient stuff and the delays are at a weird BPM, I can click the timeline off, and it just makes it simple to move around. And then I think the third page that it shows is your switches page. So like naturally when you get your device, it'll have a switches button right here. Mine says fuzz toggle because that's what I've named it and changed it to. But when you hit that button, generally it takes you to a switches page, which looks like this, and it'll have function 1, function 2, function 3. But I didn't like using it that way because I don't use I don't turn any of the buffers off. I'm not changing outputs or hitting multiple functions. So what I did is I actually copied this function 1 button. I right clicked it and copied it. Went to the first page, right clicked and pasted it. So it made that function 1, and I just renamed it to the fuzz toggle. And the reason I did that was because on my kilt, I have the red remote option plugged into the function 1 button. So if I'm in a preset and I say, hey, I want to access this fuzz, all I have to do is click that button and it accesses it. So that's a fun, cool way to save some space on your board. I had the actual red remotes from JHS, and I was just like, I could save space. So I have that fuzz option there if I wanted to. So there's multiple ways you can use this thing and set this page up. And then one thing that I do want to add, which I think if you're going to use it in song mode and in set list mode, I recommend that you change this button to function as a loop mode and a setup mode. So if you right click that, or not right click it but double click it, it'll come to this functions mode in this page, and instead of it being on normal, you want to put it to a hold. And so this first page, when it's highlighted on button settings, it'll be your loops page where you can access and do random things. But if you go to the hold functions, you can change it to several different options. But I would put it on setup mode, because when you hold that button down, if you hold the loops button down, it'll bring you up to this setups page, which will allow you to access your set list, your songs, make changes on the fly if you need to, and that's how I access my songs and stuff for Sunday, and make presets or make changes if I need to. And so that's what I would do if you're wanting to utilize this in set list mode. So the next thing to move on to is the presets. And so if you look right here, I have a ton, and some of them are actual songs, and then some of them are just presets that I use all the time. And so we're going to start there, and maybe we'll make a preset just to show you kind of what's going on and how I run them. And so let's just go ahead and make one. That'll be the simplest way. And so generally I'm always using some form of compression, some sort of drive, and then my reverb and my delays. And so what this is just a way of organizing presets that I use all the time, so I don't have to go and make them every time I go to put them in a song. And so, for instance, let's just go on preset 140 right here. And we're going to set all these to 0, and I'll explain what these are. So, these three right here are to access the banks and the preset within the Strymon pedals, and then whatever MIDI devices you're running. So let's say for this first preset, I'm wanting some compression, some overdrive, and a little reverb and a little delay. I'm going to name this Gain 1, because that is an indicator of my first stage drive. And then I want my first stage cloud setting on the big sky, and then a dotted 8 delay. So what I'll do is I'll say gain 1, and then I'll do cloud, and then my lowest setting is 1.50 seconds, and then on the decay, and then I'll do a slash or a dash, whatever you want to call it, and I'll do dotted 8th, and I'll put it in parentheses. So that's my name of it. And then if you're running MIDI, one thing to add on here is if you go over to this MIDIs page, if you're wanting the PBC to send tempo information and stuff to the timeline, then you'll want to go over to the MIDI page and then go to MIDI clock and hit transmit. So if you hover over that a minute, it'll tell you kind of what to set it to. But if you want your PBC to receive information from whatever MIDI device, so like say you have, I guess it might be a quartz or something of that vicinity, you'll want to have it to receive. But if you're wanting the PBC to kind of dictate what the tempos of your pedals do, you want to have it on transmit. So in other words, you're sending signal to other pedals. So that's how you want to have it set. None of this stuff matters really. And then let's go back to presets. So when you set that MIDI clock function, you'll also want to make sure that if you're going to be in song mode, that this tempo function is set to song. So that way it's not going to have any confusion between who is sending what, and it's just going to receive the tempo, and you're going to be set. So, and I don't really mess with any of this stuff. This is just kind of how I have it set up. And so, say you want a cool button color on it. Let's just go red, and I have it named. Now I have to dictate where stuff is in my Strymon pedals, and then my HX Stomp as well, and then oh, well, that's not sitting. There we go. Well, anyways, so the way I have these things set up is on my HX Stomp, my amps and my modulation that I use all the time is on 10. So we'll have that on 10. And then for my timeline, I know in bank 00 preset A is my lowest cloud setting. So I'm going to leave it on 0 because that's where it's set. So in other words, on the Strymons, if it's bank 00 preset A, it'll start at 0. Then bank or preset 00 bank B or preset B is 1. And then 2 is for preset C. And then when it goes up to bank 0 1, it'll be 3. And then 4, 5, so on. So you kind of have to do a little bit of math. But for this case, I know that my my lowest cloud setting is 0. And then my dotted 8th delay is also set on 0. And so I have that set up. My amps are set up on preset 10. And then what I want to do is make sure that I have the correct loops on for those. So I'll go over here to audio, and it'll show your loops buttons. And then what you'll want to do is, I know in loop 1 my compression is on. It's always on, so I always want to make sure loop 1 is on. Loop 2 is my POG. Loop 3 is my Morning Glory and my stage 1 drive. So I'm going to turn that on as well. And then loop 7 is my timeline. I'm going to turn that on. And then my loops 8 is my Big Sky, and I'm going to turn that on as well. And then this can either be in series or parallel. I usually just leave them as they come. They are stereo functional, but I am running in mono, so we're going to leave them with whatever. I think they come set up in mono maybe, or if not, you can change that as need be. This is also just a pre-made thing that I have made changes to, but I'm just kind of showing you for the sake of being able to learn some of this stuff. And then you have options to mess with your switches page, with your buffers and whatnot, and so you can do that if need be. And then, so I have everything on that I need, and I will, if you want to save that preset, you'll go to transfer, write changes to device, and it will be saved to your device. So if you're on your original buttons page, and it's on page 1, you can bank up to whatever bank has preset 140 on it, and go to that preset, and it should say, voila, your preset. So that's how you make a preset. And there's multiple ways you can change stuff and do things. So like say in this preset particularly, I have my kilt on instead of my gain, my first overdrive. I have my kilt. And say I want to make a preset that accesses the fuzz. So like, let's just say instead of gain 1, we have fuzz, and then the same cloud setting. I know it's, instead of having to even press the function switch, if I just wanted to be super lazy and just do it on its own, I could go down here and turn on function switch 1. So I know if I go to this preset, it's going to turn on the fuzz for me. And so it's just another cool way to make things easier, to access things and to create things, which is great, and it's easy, and that's what I want to have it like. So moving on, I'm going to show you how to make a song. So if you go to the songs page, it has all these different songs, and you have access to do 1,000 something if you need to. If you're like us, we cover a lot of music, and it's nice to be able to recall things and not have to make a new preset every time. So as you can see, I have quite a few, not as much as some other people do, but I'm going to show you how to make a song. So let's just say we're going to do, we're going to make Battle Belongs. I already have that as a song, but I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. So, or actually, let's do We Praise You, because that's a cool one to do. Or actually, Lion and Lamb. Let's do Lion and Lamb, because I remember the BPMs. That's why I'm keep changing my mind. So, let's say we want to do Lion and the Lamb, and we know the song is in 90 beats per minute. So this has the option to do the preset, same, and then you actually have numbers you can plug in. Naturally, it's going to come in same, but what you can do is go up here, type in 90, hit enter, saves it as 90 BPM, so you know that the time signature is going to be correct. Then I know, like, David Hislop uses, I know he uses like a bloom reverb and then a dotted eighth delay. I don't really mess with bloom as much as I do with cloud, so I know it's just going to be a light reverb and then a dotted eighth, and then I use my stage 2 for that. So what I can do is go on here and look and say I need my stage 2 gain, a low reverb, and then a dotted eighth. So that's going to be my intro. I think Hislop also uses a POG 2 a lot, so I can go down here and look and do the same thing and add a POG 2 where I've added it in my my presets mode. And so if I go to, so you see right here, that's preset 62. If I go to my presets and go to preset 62, I'll be able to see the same preset. And if you look on the loops page, I have my compression on, my POG 2, my second stage drive, and then my reverb, and or my delay and my reverb, and then my HX Stone for amps and such. And so I know I want that. And then when it tames down a little bit in the verses, I will take off the POG and then switch to a lighter drive. And so I'll do that. And then let's say I wanted just the POG for the intro, and then for like the bridges and the actual chorus, I don't want the POG in there. I can just add in the preset I have that doesn't have the POG. And then all you want to do is hit transfer again, write changes to device, and it's saved in there. Then the next thing you want to do, if you want to use it the way I do, is go to Setlist. And we have a Sunday set list that I keep in here. So on Sunday, I can just literally take a song, or I click on a song, and it'll change it for me. And say we want to do With Everything instead of King of My Heart. I'll plug it in there, then say Who You Say I Am is right there, and then We Praise You is right there. I can just click and it'll change it for me. And then what you'll be able to do is on your buttons page, you'll be able to hold down the setups mode, and it'll pop up to the setup mode, and you'll see where it says choose set list, or edit set list, or whatever you want to do. I think it's choose set list, and you'll have these two buttons to actually go down on this page, and then you'll have these two buttons to actually choose the set list that you want. So you'll either hit up or down and go to the set list that says Sundays, or whatever you name it. It could be Wednesday nights, it could be recording event, it could be worship night, or it could just be like just Bethel, or just Elevation, or Red Rocks, or whatever you want to name it. So like for me, if you look at my set list, I have Sundays, I had a recording event that we had to do some songs on, so I named it that. I have just all of Bethel's music. I have some Christmas tunes, and you can literally make these whatever you want to. But I usually operate out of the Sundays one. And so when you go to access that Sundays set list, and it'll be highlighted, it'll say Sunday. Then you'll hit this button, I believe, it'll be red, and it'll exit you out. And once you do that, it'll pop up whatever your first song in your set list is, and then you'll have the first preset, second preset, third preset, fourth preset, and then you can bank up to go to the next song, bank down to go back a song, whatever. And that's how you operate out of set list mode. And I feel like that is the easiest way to operate, at least for me, and for anybody who is covering music on a given week and need to have access to these songs at the stomp of a button or click of a finger. And so that's how you go in and you make presets, you make songs, and then you put them in the set list and utilize them. And so that's kind of where I've gotten to. I don't really mess with any of this stuff. I don't really know what it does, but that is the simplest form. I know that's a lot of information, but if you have any questions, comment, message me. I know this stuff is going to go on social media, and so I will have, I check it pretty regularly. So if you have any questions or you need help, I'm open to answering any questions. And I've also had some appointments with people to meet and explain this stuff firsthand to them over Zoom. And I feel like that's the easiest way to learn. I had someone teach me that way, and it was very helpful, very insightful. And so I've decided I'm going to use my ministry and my knowledge of it so far to pay it forward and help other people out. So anyways, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, comment them, message me, whatever you want to do. And hope this helps. Anyways, thanks.